I recently saw you play on stage in Winter Park with Richard Thompson.
All right, yeah, that was fun.
I also wanted to say how happy I was to find Richard on your latest Rhino record here.
Yeah.
So, what's your relationship with Thompson, and how does that work?
Other than being a hero, what else you could say? Richard, I think it was in like, I don't know, about 1968 or something. I picked up a record, a Fairport Convention record, and on that record was a song called Cajun Woman, written by R. Thompson. Not only did I not think that anybody outside of Louisiana even knew what Cajun was, but that anybody even cared, and nevertheless this guy wrote a song about it. So I said, this is something. This guy's into something. So he went on, and I think I briefly had a brief encounter with him in like '74 after he and Linda just shoot out the lights. And then I think it was a jazz festival around '81, '82, whatever. We were playing at a Maple Leaf Bar in New Orleans during the jazz festival, and this guy came in. I turned to my bass player. I said, "Man, this guy wins the Richard Thompson lookalike contest," and it happened to be him. And so we just started talking, and then been over to the house, and his wife Nancy Covey was an old friend of mine, and he's been doing some tours and things like that. So we just kind of hang out together, and basically he is Mr. Guitar, and I just these songs that he played on, that was just to me that was his forte, the kind of riff that he liked, and just the right kind of feeling. So basically what happened.
Well, he's on the title song, right? Conja?
No, he's on Sur le Pont de Lyon and Conja.
And he is, I'd like to talk about the song Conja, but he is kind of a voodoo man on guitar.
Yeah, he's a total voodoo man. He's definitely mystical and possessed.
Before we move on to the album, I just wanted to see if you had a perspective on, is there a connection between Cajun music and the kind of music Thompson has developed?
Well, like I said, he's developed his own style from folk roots, which is what we're doing and what we have been doing. But I mean, he's very sensitive to cultural styles, which I think is great. I mean, it's like he started with that. He didn't didn't start playing and discover South Africa or something. It's like it was a very logical growth, and so he's really in tune to that, and he's been in tune to Cajun music for a long time. So I think that's the respect he gets. I mean, just to show the irony of everything. Good friend of mine, Joel Saunier, recorded one of his songs, a Tear-Stained Letter, became like a big hit for him. And that's just shows you how things kind of go around.
Well, I'm definitely a Richard Thompson fan, but I'm also a Beausoleil fan.
All right.
And now you're recording with Rhino. How's that working for you?
I think they're some wonderful people. Exactly what I want. I mean, what they gave me was just carte blanche. Here, you know how to do a record? Yes. Here, go do it. That's basically it. And their distribution is, better than we've ever had, because although they're a small label, they're distributed by SEMA, which is Capitol Records. So we get our sound out. Because I'm kind of tired of people calling up and I can't find your music and all that stuff. So I think that's the best way for us to get our music across.
And you're happy with them?
Oh, totally. Just really, really fine people. People wonder, say, Rhino, aren't they kind of reissue? Aren't they kind of weird? I said, yeah, they're kind of weird. They believe in, recycling, and they believe in saving the rainforest. Yeah, and they're very, spoken about that. But they also release music that they like, and I don't think I've ever met a bunch of people who just love the music.
So let's talk about the new album. Is this anything different for you? Or are you feeling like this makes an advance over your music, or what?
Well, yeah, in the sense that a lot of the songs are original. We've kind of been, I've been known for, since I started playing, is trying to, kindle a fire here, also to sort of give new life to forgotten songs and forgotten styles of music here in Louisiana. And so I've been doing that, but at the same time, there's another side that I want to get, another story across, and that's, composing new songs. So I think that's what I tried to do on this record, which is kind of difficult when you put it next to a song that's 300 years old,
Sure.
The track record is a little hard. But anyway, so I try to do that, and in different kind of feelings and to put in it. So for me, it was a great departure doing it, that way, to be able to do and have the song, so accepted.
I was amused by the Cajun telephone stop.
Yeah, well, That's the way. I mean, yeah. When those things first came out, I had a bunch of old buddies. Old occasions. I mean, they could not understand that thing. I get these messages, hello, hello. It's like really funny. And so I thought just the juxtaposition of that and an old-timey song would be kind of fun.
Tell me about the title song. Now that has to do with voodoo things.
Yeah, well, back in the 70s when this music wasn't as well documented, it wasn't as well known, we had like an open book to go out and try to find the sources, the people that were interested in anyway. And there was always this bluesy aspect of the music that really changed it. I mean, I'd spent some time in France, and it was very French music. I could find some music really close to France, but the rhythms were so different, and also the Creole tradition here was so different. And so that's the second part of a trilogy. The first song I wrote about that was a song called Zydeco Gris, which was used in the movie Big Easy, the second song of that. And this song sort of looks at how it got here. Louisiana was a unique place during the slave era in that there were different strata. They had in New Orleans and Louisiana, they had a whole different strata of the black culture. There was a black orchestra, black opera, black balls, quadroons, different things. You weren't just a slave, you were Creole, there were black plantation owners who even owned slaves themselves. And Louisiana was so unique is that it was the only state that they were allowed to congregate, mostly on Sundays, in a place called Congo Square. From that developed, because of the Catholicism and African religion, they sort of got together and it became known as voodoo, which took place in Haiti, where a lot of the people after the revolution came here. And because the Acadians are so predominantly Catholic, there are what we call traiteurs, which is Traiteurs, which means a treater. People here that do have a power, like not only for love, but there are also like toothaches and bleedings and different kind of things. There's people still here that I even go to, that I believe in. And it's it's from that, and I think what the song was trying to get to, there's this underlying, that you just can't touch it, you can't tap it, you don't know what it is. I mean, listen to the Nevilles and and Dr. John. There's just something here that it's just the people, it's the way, the lifestyle you grew up in. I think that sort of taps it of source, how it perhaps got here. The earliest people ask me about how the accordion got here and all that stuff. Well, there are a lot of different theories, but from my own, very sporadic research. I mean, I don't do this, kind of quit researching for a while, but I ran across a little story. It took place in 1877, where it was Marie Laveau II had a seance, and now the seance was basically a party, I mean, in those days. I mean, you can really Hollywood it up, but basically this was a party. And to make it a party, there was a black man in there who was playing accordion. And that's the earliest that I can find of the use of accordion in Louisiana. So that's how it's kind of related. So it's that's the idea.
And how about the rest of the album? Is there anything in particular going on?
Well, Sophie is a fun song. I mean, that's right. It's just a fun song. It's sort of a stream of consciousness about what the heat does to people in Louisiana. A lot of different songs, and I'm trying to think about what I did. The last song is kind of neat because it's more of a fiddle song. It's one of my favorite songs on it. It's about Tasso, a place where you like to go and watch the pretty girls dance. It's just got such an Acadian flavor to me. And also Timond, I think, is a highlight, which is sort of a slow drag, and it's just a unique kind of Creole kind of influenced rhythmic song.
Listening to the music, most of it to me is real happy, up dance music, but I also noticed that there's kind of I want to call it a darker side. I'm not meaning here that it's evil or negative or anything. I just mean it's a little more introspective. Is there something about the culture that makes that happen?
Well, I mean, that's the songs that are fun and happy. I mean, that takes place maybe, if you can look at it on weekends when people work really hard. This is a really hard place to live. It's the tropics, and life is tough. But there's always been a spirit. I mean, the fact that we still speak French after so many years being in the States. I mean, as part of the States since it was 1807, and it's funny. It's There is a dark side. I mean, now I would say the dark side of this thing is the whole total Cajun commercialization that has taken place over the 80s. I don't think anybody, could have foreseen. And definitely got its good points because it's it helped the dying culture, but it's got its bad points now that you can sell everything with Cajun on it. And the Cajuns are very, as a whole, we were very simple people who just wanted to be left alone, and that's why our culture survived. Whether it can flourish or not amid all this, extravaganza, that's another question. And the route it's going to take is completely different than it had before, because it survived because of his tenaciousness, just the fact of its independence. And now the independence has shifted onto more of a broader outlook with people and tourists and the whole restaurant commercialization. So, I don't know. You're going to have to figure it out now.
Do you ever think that this music would go this far?
No, definitely. Because in the 70s, I even lived in France for 1 year. It was very well accepted in France at that time, in French-speaking countries like Canada, Belgium, Switzerland, etc. But in the States, it was very sporadic. I mean, we played a couple of places, like National Folk Festival, Philadelphia folk festivals, things like that. That's what was happening, and we would go there and do that and come back on a weekend, maybe once, twice, maybe 4 times a year. That's the time it was here. Never would anybody outside of here even accept this, because it was just that's Cajun music or chanky chank. I mean, it was common. And no, this big resurgence that took place in the 80s came as a complete surprise. I mean, I think it's been long overdue because there's been a lot of great musicians who have influenced a lot of other great musicians in different cultures, like country and western fields, just playing country music, rock and roll, blues, jazz. The whole Louisiana spectrum of music has filtered out to people and influenced that. And I think it has been long overdue for recognition. But the people who were the forerunners in that, the people who played uncontrived music just because they loved it, those people are gone, are going. And what's left is like it's a different generation. And they can see, I can make money with this, I want to go to tour and things like that. That was never in the future for us. Our future was just to learn the music, play the music because we love it, because we could see it dying. There was no other reason. There was no other future for us. And now it's like, whoa, it's like it's all open. But at the same time, you have groups like the Blue Runners, who are a lot younger, in their early 20s, and didn't really grow up French, but knew that French was around here, and can really, relate to that, and at the same time relate to their own brand of rock and roll, which I think is great.
Now, you're talking about the old musicians dying off. Is that partially why you ended up with this grant? You went out and talked to people? Oh yeah, in those days, you see, there was no books written. It was like a completely open field, and so in those days, it was like to try to put a network, I was trying to just find as many fiddle players as I could and learn their styles. And, a lot of people, why are you interested in me? I said, well, didn't you used to play in the 20s? Oh, but I haven't played in, 30 years and stuff. And so I just hang out with them, and finally they pick up their fiddles, and, we play all night long. It was just incredible source of stuff. Uh-huh. And that was so much fun. So, I'm still working on some of those tapes and even, basing a lot of the things I do on just those encounters back then. And it was like a time of discovery, really unique. Are you working on a book?
I did back then, in '74. I put this stuff together, and but I never released it. What I've done is put together with homespun tapes, this Happy Traum, affair from Woodstock. It's called How to Play the Real Cajun Fiddle, and what it is a series of 6 cassettes, and all the notations of the different styles of the people I learned from. I figured that's a more accessible way to do it, than get really academic about it. But maybe one day it'll come along.
Would it be fair to say that these people are actually your teachers, Ed?
Yeah, and there's no such thing as teacher. I mean, these guys, go say, if you go there and you say, well, how do you do that? And they say, well, like this. How do you do that? Well, like this. You got to know. That is a funny relationship. But yes, I would call them masters.
Certainly, you've done lots of recording. Mm-hmm. But does Cajun music basically belong in the concert hall, at dances, that kind of thing?
Well, I guess we've shown it can be anywhere, and if it's presented right. I mean, we don't play the same songs, or maybe we might play the same songs, but we don't play the same way as we do in concerts that we do for a dance. In a concert, you have people sitting down, you have people attuned to people who are supposed to be entertainers, and we're really not. And so we let the music speak, and so in that sense, I choose different styles of music, a whole different styles of music, and so that people can get a grasp of how diverse our music is. In a dance, people don't care about that. They just want to dance. They might want to dance different types of dances, but you don't have to. You just play the music. And I think in that way, the energy comes off the dancers. If there's dancers swirling, the music gets better. It just happens. It makes it a lot looser. So the best situation is a concert dance.
So you just said that you wouldn't consider yourself an entertainer, is that right?
No. Somebody, I was in an airplane, going somewhere, and someone says, "Oh, you're in the entertainment field." I said, I never thought of that. I said, I'm just doing what I love to do. I said I don't consider myself an entertainer or any kind of personality, but just an individual, who enjoys to play this, and likes to play this music. You can explain it, basically. It's funny when you think of entertainment, you think it's like somebody, like a Johnny Carson show or something.
Sure.
I don't see that at all. Somebody says, well, since you're a professional, I said, wait, let's get what? Professional? I think if I'm anything, it's a professional amateur or something. I don't ever want to be a professional.
A lot of the lyrics you guys do are in French.
Yeah.
But as far as I can tell, there's no problem communicating beyond the language. Is that right?
Yeah. I don't think people can understand half the words in rock and roll anyway. And if you can get the feeling across by the music, I think you've done that. Because the music feels better in its original language. I think that. Sometimes I translate, one or two verses and things like that. But I think it comes across better in French. I always do. The music, it seems to go. That's what it should be.
I think a lot of people, especially out of Louisiana, are confused between Zydeco and Cajun.
Yeah. Well, it's all from Louisiana. Well, the most obvious, question is that Cajun is played by white musicians, Zydeco by black musicians. But there's a lot of gray area. Cajun music, what's called Cajun, is actually Acadian music. The true forms, come from Acadie, which it comes from France to Louisiana. And what the term Zydeco music is derivative of African music through the islands, and it becomes, Afro-American music. The earliest recordings from a black person who spoke French and a white person who spoke French, Acadian, was done in like 1929, and there was a duo, which I call the dynamic duo, a fiddle player by the name of Dennis McGee and a accordion player by the name of Amédée Ardoin. A-M-E-D-E and Ardoin, A-R-D-O-I-N. And they were like the mass, totally, incredible stuff. There's a record out on Arhoolie. It's got these two guys. And, it was relatively the same music. Amédée's music was a little funkier, has a little bit more, different kind of rhythmic textures, but he was singing in French. And so what had happened in the 30s, then you see more of a separation. You see more Cajuns or Americanization of the music. You listen to more country and western. And on the black side, listening more to blues. And it goes through the 40s and 50s. On the black side, it becomes more rhythm and blues, saxophones, etc. And on the white side, more and more country western steel guitar, etc. like that. But they might play the same song, but they'll just play it in different styles. And again, it's the individual and the region where somebody was brought up. They're basically, we don't have counties here in Louisiana. We have parishes, civil parishes. There's about 22 parishes that are predominantly, or were predominantly French in the 50s. And each of those are equally distinct and have their own distinct styles. So it's like, counties in Ireland.
So it just changes from parish to parish?
Yeah, but that's basically what it is from now. You were asking the style, that's the basic. Zydeco would be more blues, and Cajun would be maybe more, country and western. That's the simplest form. Because I know there's some good buddies of mine, Ken Refine, there's a Creole fiddler, and they say, oh, those people are not playing Zydeco. There's this new stuff. They're singing English, and they play, two chords in the same chords. It could be better.
What other Cajun bands would be out there that people could check out? Who would you recommend?
There's so many bands. God, I'd hate to just say, certain bands because I don't want to leave anybody out. One of my favorite old-time bands, most of the people that I like don't have bands. They play at home.
I see.
And that's what I just heard. Bands, one of the longest-running bands is a guy from the same town that I'm from, Scott. His name is Walter Mouton, M-O-U-T-O-N. And he plays every Saturday night at a dance hall called La Poussière, which I even wrote a song about. He's one of my favorites. There's all people. There's a young band, young guy. He's in his early 20s. His name is Steve Riley, and he's playing around. He's interesting, incredible musician, and a really good person. you know. So I guess that's the gamut. Anybody else between, you know, is fine too.
The idea is that it's more of a personal music?
Yeah, it's definitely individual music, because each individual has a style. And before it became so commercial, so out there, the styles were developed just from within the community. It wasn't a universal. It was very selective way of playing, and I think that's what's started to be lost. But I really like that aspect of the music.
And the people basically play for themselves. I guess what I'm getting to here is that this is like a music that would be like outside of the music business, that kind of thing.
Oh, it definitely was. There was no such thing as the music business here. To be in the music business here, you'd have to go to Nashville or something. You know, I mean, there became regional record companies in the late 50s, early 60s. But other than that, it was not. The only other recordings were done, you know, as race recordings in the 78s and the 20s and 30s. So yeah, it was each individual. And that was so great about here, because each person played his own style, you know, and the only way to do it and put their own words into it, because it was free. There was no set way of playing anything. But there was underlying style that you knew if you played it right. You just had to know again. There you go again.
I'd like to talk about the name Beausoleil. In one place I hear it's a spiritual term, in another place in the bio it said beautiful sun. So can you straighten?
Literally it's called beautiful sun. Spiritually it was the name Beausoleil in Acadie. There was a place, it was never named that, but people from this area were called Beausoleil, like we call Michael from Beausoleil. In French it's Doucet Beausoleil. And it just so happens they had a lot of people from this town that turned out to be, that performed extremely heroic feats during the expulsion of the Acadians. One such guy, Beausoleil, they were on a boat, you know, the English were transporting him somewhere, and he went up and asked the captain where they're going. He says, "Are we just going to land wherever we land, let these vagabonds take care of themselves?" Well, they threw this guy overboard, man, you know, and they shanghaied the boat. Another guy from that area, Beausoleil, led people to freedom when the English were chasing them, you know, pretty much chasing them to kill them. There was another Beausoleil that ended up in Louisiana that became a captain in the American Revolutionary War in militia here. And so the Beausoleil has always been a name among Acadian people and in my family. And so that's basically just, you know, it's a name among people who are Acadian, who understand there is hope. There is something, you know, there's somewhere something's going to guide us. You know, somewhere that you know, someone's going to take us in their own hands. We're going to survive or something. It's a very nebulous term, and it gets contrite after a while. But I mean, it's difficult to describe. You just have to know.
I think that you've been incredibly lucky to have such a rich culture to explore. You know, a lot of people in America don't.
Yeah, and I think that's part of it. I think that's what part of people look at this culture, and because it has survived. I mean, in spite of itself, and in spite of all the other, you know, indifferent influence.
Throughout the 80s, of course, the big buzz phrase was world music.
Right.
Just give me an idea of how you feel Cajun is world music.
Well, that's where we put now. They don't know how to categorize it. We're under world music, you know. But it's fine. But I mean, you know, you listen to some of this music, I mean, from South Africa, that's not traditional music. That's like South Africans who've listened to B.B. King and,
sure.
and play their own thing. So I guess, you know, that's fine. If people don't know what to do with it, if it's in a different language, it becomes world music, you know. So that's fine. I don't care.
But there's like no fusion attempt. It's
well, I mean, this is the fusion. If any music is fusion, traditional American music, this is the fusion place. Because here, I mean, you have not only French influence, you have American Indian influence, you have Spanish influence, you have African influence, Haitian island influence, American influence, Irish influence. It's all happened here 200-300 years ago. You know, it's the original American world music.
Is that what makes it so special, and especially out of Louisiana? Louisiana always seems to be the center of the most original American music I can think of.
Well, of course. Yeah, I think you know, it's coming to light, and it's making sense to people now.